of our Merry Craftmas series. I am so glad that you decided to join us today. And as I'm sure you know, I am collaborating with my crafty BFF, Robin Pitts of Sir Chauncey Rocco Creative Designs. And I do have her channel linked in the description box below. I would like to remind everyone, we will be having several giveaways throughout the series. So make sure to follow the rules. You must be 18 years or older. This is open to US and international subscribers. International subscribers will receive an online cash payment in lieu of a physical prize. You must be a visible subscriber to each channel and leave a comment for each video. And I do have a short video linked below to show you how to verify your subscriptions. What I have created today are 3D Mailbox Memory Dex cards, and I was inspired by the paper in the Home for Christmas, and this is the page that I am referring to. There's our mailbox, and I think that it looks pretty close, so I was really happy with how these came out. And I used the Home for Christmas by Cartabella for this one, and I used Time of Wonders by Mente for this one. So I like having the traditional and non-traditional to compare. And I did receive both of the paper collections in a design team package from ASC Craft Supplies. I am a design team member for them. I have a coupon code, which is Michelle10 for 10% off of any regular price purchases. I did not use an SVG file for this project. I only used my scoreboard and paper trimmer. So I do have a tutorial. We'll go into some detail with each of them, and it is a functioning mailbox that the lid opens. I've got too many things there, but you can still get into it. And I used magnets for my closure. And on this top piece here, the joy was an ephemera piece. And then I just took some different punches, layered them behind the ephemera piece. Then I made this little poinsettia, and then I had a snowflake I just tucked in the back. And here on the front, I've used this beautiful shiplap with the Christmas trees on the front paper, and then I used some more punches for my gold and some holly leaves and another poinsettia, and I have a little bow here, and then I tucked in a snowflake behind the top and the bottom. And I love this red plaid, so I've got it on the lid as well as here, and then this black, and I thought it tied everything together with the black here and there and the joy. And here's my Memory Dex portion on the bottom. And then on the side, you can see I had to use the mailbox paper. And then on the back, we have this really pretty shiplap paper with the snowflakes. The finished mailbox measures about 6 inches tall by 4 inches wide, and it is about 1 inch deep. So the perfect size for a Memory Dex card. And then of course you can tuck some goodies down in there. I thought it would be cute to put some little note cards, or you could just put some rosettes or bows. Quite substantial, and will hold quite a few things. And I love that it would be easy to mail with shipping going up. It's nice to have some smaller projects we can send as Happy Mail. So on the Time of Wonders one, I have made some poinsettias, and I used the Stampin' Up! Bravo Burgundy and just sponged the ink onto some ivory cardstock and made the little poinsettias, and then put one of the Dollar Tree little styrofoam balls in the center. And on this poinsettia, I used the same cream colored cardstock, and I just did the edges. And I added in some stamen, and I cut a piece of the decorative and glued it on there just so it would have some more filler and some green at the top. And I used this beautiful script paper here along the top and this front, the flap. And here I've layered up different elements from the paper. And I had to include the mailbox with the little bird, and of course the poinsettias, and then the little nutcracker with the star and the ornaments, and there's another star tucked there, and this beautiful tree, and some more of the little flowers. And I did use a flower from ASC. It's the little mini sweetheart blossom, so I tucked one of those in there, and then added some more berries here. And I have some gold leaves tucked in around the clusters up here and here as well. And it does open. It has a magnetic closure. You just have to be careful with this one with the star, but I just love that tree and love how that, just had to use that tree. I thought it was so beautiful. And here on the bottom, you can see the memory deck base. And then I've used this gorgeous poinsettia paper on the sides and the bottom. And then on the back, we have the Christmas gifts toy store here with the tree. And there's our bird again. This is beautiful foliage with the poinsettias and the roses. And there's our little elf on the shelf and a little snow globe in the chair. And of course the rocking horse. It's just a beautiful paper collection. And as I mentioned, I do have a tutorial, so stay tuned for that. First thing we're going to need are 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 4 by 6 inches. And we're going to lay one piece on the 6-inch side, and we're going to score at 5/8 and at 4 5/8. And we only need to score on the one piece. This will be our front piece. We're going to be gluing them together, and this is textured paper, so I'm going to have the front facing with the texture, and then the smooth sides will glue together. And I'm going to go ahead and punch these with my Memory Decks card punch. So I'm just going to line these up in the middle here and give it a punch, maybe. Okay, so I have my bases punched, and then this piece will go on the very back of our Memory Decks card, and this decorative piece measures 3 7/8 inches wide by 5 7/8 inches tall. So these are the back pieces, and for the front piece we will have a piece of cardstock that measures 4 by 3.5 tall, and the decorative paper is 3 7/8 inches wide by 3 3/8 inches tall. And then we're going to need a piece of decorative paper that forms this top piece of the mailbox, the decorative part, and it measures 3 7/8 inches wide by 1 1/4 inch tall. So lay it to the side. And for the lid, we're going to have a piece of cardstock that measures 4 1/16 inches wide by 2 1/8 inches tall. And I've measured at 1/2 inch, and I've measured at 1 5/8. Okay. And for the decorative paper for the lid, I have 2 pieces that measure 1 inch or 4 inches wide by 1 inch tall. And I am covering the inside and the outside of just the lid. And then for the little front flap, we have 2 pieces that measure 3/8 inches wide by 4 inches tall. So those are the lid pieces. And then for the sides of the mailbox, I have 2 pieces that measure 2 by 4 inches. We want to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 1/2 inches on both. And then we're going to take and turn it on its side, and we are going to score at 1/2 inch until we come to that first score line right there, because that will be our guide so we can cut it at an angle. Score line. And then on the other piece, we're going to turn it, and we're going to come up at 1/2 inch until we get that score line. And if we have where the score lines are facing each other, then when they form our sides, and we can cut up at an angle like that, and they should match up very closely. And for the decorative paper on the sides, it is 7/8 inches wide by 3 7/8 inches, 3 7/8 inches tall. And for the bottom of the mailbox, we have a piece of cardstock that measures 2 inches by 5, and we are just going to score at 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Just like that. And then the decorative paper is 7 3/8 by 3 7/8 inches. So let's bring the lid cardstock back in, and I'm going to come down just a little bit, and I'm going to score at 1 inch, and I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch in between each place. And then I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to score, let's see here, 2 inches, and I'm just going to score right in the middle a little bit so I can line up my punch correctly. So I'll hold it up here. See, it's not all the way to the edge, and it's just in the center. So we have our lid piece. I'm going to go ahead and bring our lid in for the mailbox. And I have this punch, and the opening measures right at, looks like almost 7/16 by 1 3/4 inches. Had this forever and I don't think I'd ever used it until this. So I'm just lining up the center in the middle of the punch. I'm just going to squeeze it down, and then I'm going to scoot over to the sides just a little bit and make sure I have it lined up. Just do that. And if it's not perfect, it'll be okay. By the time we cover it with paper, it'll be fine. And then I'm going to do the other side just a little bit. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to use this for the front. I'm going to go ahead and burnish this one more time. We've got our lid pieces, and I think I'm going to put this on the outside. So I'm going to glue these two pieces here. So I'm going to go ahead and set the lid to the side where I cut it a little bit bigger. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead, okay, so we're going to set the lid to the side. I want to bring in the back pieces. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to glue the two cardstock pieces together. The one with the score lines will be the front, and then the back will be the decorative paper. So I'm just going to glue these together. And we'll bring in the front two pieces, and I am going to go ahead and glue the decorative to the front. We'll bring in our bottom piece and our sides. And on the bottom piece, the one that we have scored a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides, I'm going to cut up to where the corners, or excuse me, the score lines intersect. And then I'm just going to make a little angle on each one of these. Do not go past the score lines, because then you would see it on the bottom of our mailbox. You just want to go right up to it and just angle in. And that gives us our tabs. Go ahead and glue the decorative paper in the center of the score lines. Sides, and remember we want the two score lines facing the inside. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up to where our score line went all the way up and just cut that at an angle. So that's one side, and then you could go like this even to make sure they're the same. We'll just lay them together like that. And then I want to miter the other 3 corners. And do the same thing on this side. This makes it a little bit neater when we miter. Then we'll take our decorative pieces that we have, and I'm going to hold it, just line it up like that. Just kind of eyeball it, and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to draw the pencil mark there, and then we're going to cut this off. And we'll see if I've trimmed enough off. I may need to trim a little bit more off. Yeah, I held it up far enough, so that looks good. And then I'm going to put the 2 like sides together, and I'm going to take the scissors and just trim. We'll see if this is lined up in the middle of it. That looks good, as, see here, that one does too. And those look good, so I'm going to go ahead and glue those in place. Bring in the bottom piece, and this is the one with the 4 1/2 inch score marks on each side. And I'm going to put glue on this bottom tab. I'm going to hold it back, and I'm going to line it up along this score line. And you want to make sure that these tabs line up with the sides of your paper. You can glue our side pieces on, and you want to make sure that you're lining them up right with the edge of your paper. So you're just going to fold that tab back, line it up, and glue it in place. So I'm going to do that to both of those. Now I'm going to bring in the front piece. I always like to make sure everything is going to line up, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the front side tab here, right up against that score line. Make sure everything's lining up and it looks good. And now we're going to take this side piece and fold it over. But first we're going to put glue up into our score line, like so, and then we can fold this piece over and make sure that it does not go past the score line. So I'm going to have to hold it back just ever so slightly where it won't get in the score line. Turn it over, and I want to burnish the inside of the mailbox. And now we have our bottom flap, and I'm going to trim just a little bit more off this one right there since it's bulking up. Just a little bit more, because where I folded it, it just had a little bit of a bulk there. And now we can put glue on our tabs. I did a little bit different this time because I wanted to be able to get a good seal on the front. So I'm going to put glue on the tabs. And now we can just put these up inside our box. Just going to reach my hand in and line this up along the bottom and on each side. And then take my bone folder and just reach in. So bring in our lid pieces, and I do want to miter the back tab. And I want to do a dry fit to see how this is going to fit. And remember, I did cut this a little bit larger. I cut it at 4 1/16 inch versus the 4 inches. And that does look good. It covers the edges up. I want to bring in my decorative paper, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece and this piece to the lid. And now I'm going to bring in our punch, and I'm just going to go over where we punched before. And now we can glue our paper on the inside of our lid, and I'm going to punch out the hole again. So I did add a piece of score tape to the lid, but I am going to go over it with some glue so we'll have a little bit of wiggle room. And I'm just going to put this in the center of our line here and line it up. And that's what our second score line is for. It's to line up our lid. So you can make sure you get it evenly across the mailbox. That looks lined up. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to use my Teflon bone folder and just give that a good burnish. So I have opened the lid and I've attached the magnet, and now I'm just going to close this lid, and I'm just going to put a little pencil mark right there very lightly so I will know where to put my magnet. And you want to make sure putting glue on the correct side. So I want to pull the magnet off. This is the side that's going to stick on this side, so it's facing up and will stick to the magnet. And like I said, I'm just going to eyeball this. And when I use the bigger magnet, it's like I can place it and I can adjust my lid where it closes. It seems like when I do that, where if I use too large magnet, it locks into place and it can be off sometimes. Lines up really well. And where we made the lid just a, that 1/16 of an inch, a little bit larger, it covers up the sides. So now I want to curve this top edge of the mailbox, and I'm going to lay it on my grid, and I'm going to come down to about 3/4 of an inch. Make sure it's lined on each side. Just put little lines there. And then I'm just going to kind of sketch up like that. And I like the look of that, so I'm just going to come along here, take my scissors, and I'm just going to carefully cut along that edge. Okay, and I like the looks of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it over to this side and line it up in the corners. Make sure the top's lined up. Lay it down. And I'm just going to draw that line there like so. And now I can follow it. So I have my piece of decorative that goes here on the top. It's going to be, this is the front piece. I'm going to turn it over and just hold it with my fingers and gradually trace this. I'm just going to take my pencil and sketch a little bit right there and right here on that corner. And I am going to neaten this up at the top. I forgot about this piece here that measures at 1/2 inch by 3 7/8 inches wide, and it goes here along the bottom of the Rolodex. And I went ahead and punched the holes in it. I also wanted to thank my new subscribers as well as my existing subscribers for leaving such wonderful comments throughout the series. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to watch my videos and leave a comment. And if you use my tutorial, make sure to tag me or send me a pic. I would love to see what you create. And don't forget to visit Robin's channel. I have her linked in the description box below. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.